This idea that I've recently been seeing pop up everywhere, this idea of cruel optimism, where large corporations and governments, organizations at societal, cultural level inadvertently cause a problem or issue, and then you're expected to deal with it on an individual level. For example, you could be stressed out because you're worried about losing your job, but you've been told to handle it better by joining a mindful practice at work. That's just one example. You could be having eating disorders or health problems caused largely by kind of social, economic, or political changes, and then you're expected to manage the outcome by taking control of your habits or becoming more optimistic, of reaching that positive light at the end of the tunnel outcome for yourself without relying on systematic, large organizational shifts or changes. So I came across this cruel optimism again today in this book I'm reading, Stolen Focus by Johann Hari. This is all about why you can't pay attention, mainly about technology. The fact that about 50 years ago there was very little obesity in the Western world. For example, if you look at a photograph of people at a beach or something like that, you can see that most folk were relatively slim compared to our standards. And then what happened is a series of huge societal shifts took place. Number one, our food supply system, which used to be fresh, nutritious food, was overhauled to processed junk. Number two, we massively stressed out our population, making comfort eating a whole lot more appealing. Number three, we built cities where it's impossible to walk out or walk around or bike around. And in other words, the environment's changed, and it's not any individual failing. It's a societal shift. The average weight change between 1960 and 2002 was over 15 kg. So the average individual weighs 15 kg more now than 50 years ago, 60 years ago. So what happened is, rather than acknowledge the wider forces that are at play against us and take them on and build a healthy environment in which it's easier to avoid obesity, we were taught by the industry to blame ourselves as individuals. So this is what we learned to think. Number one, I got fat because of a personal failing. Number two, I chose the wrong food. Number three, I got greedy. Number four, I got lazy. Five, I didn't, handle my feelings properly. I gave into that craving. Number six, I'm not good enough, and on and on and on it goes. Okay, we've all been there. And I know exactly how this feels because I've got my props here. I've just finished 3 custard creams in tea, dipping them in tea. One of my favorite desserts. Whereas in the past, I could have easily downed the whole packet without any problems. So I am slowly realizing that I can take control of my choices. But not everybody is in that privileged position. And the other thing is, I bring very little temptations into the house, alhamdulillah. So anyway, individual diet books and diet plans, they became the primary answer offered to us by the culture to this systematic issue at organization and societal level. It was handed over to us as individuals to manage. And we were advised to be optimistic and try our best, and everything's going to be fine, and you can do it, and good on you. Okay? And on a separate note, I just want to say that I sense a lot of this happening with the monetary system as well. Banking, big pharma, doctors as well. It's becoming more and more obvious now in the tech sector. And this is what everybody's kind of talking about. Anyhow, going back to the obesity thing, the scientists discovered that 95% of people in our culture, they lose weight on the diet, they gain it back again within 2 to 5 years. So 95% of people, that's 19 out of every 20. And you probably know, if you haven't yourself, you probably know at least one person who's done this, right? And when they yo-yo and they rebound back, they usually gain more weight. So why is that? The reason is because diets and the whole mantra of diets and watch your weight and individual responsibility misses most of why you and I gain weight in the first place. There's no systemic analysis. There's no talk about the crisis in our food supply that surrounds us with addictive, highly processed foods that have no relationship to what previous generations of human ate. I've just been to a function today and there was iron brew flowing, there was fizzy Pepsi flowing, and people are drinking this day in, day out. And I look at it and I'm literally disgusted now when I see it. I don't mean to put anybody off. I don't mean to offend anybody, but literally this is how I feel. It's disgusting. It's poisonous. If you actually look at what Coca-Cola is good for, it's good for cleaning. Okay, that's what Coca-Cola is good for. So what you're trying to do, you're trying to destroy your insides by giving them a good clean. Okay, this is just one of the issues that we're having. Now this it doesn't explain. So this approach doesn't explain the crisis of stress and anxiety that drives us to overeat, or address the fact that we actually live in cities and towns where you have to squeeze yourself into a steel box to get anywhere. The fact is that we can get to places, but most of us, we feel like we don't have the time. We don't have time to walk to the shop. We don't have the time to take a walk to the park. We don't have time. Why? What are we going to do with our time? We're going to sit on Instagram. We're going to sit on TikTok. We're going to sit on Facebook. We need to know exactly what's going on. Trust me, nobody's missing you. And you're not missing anything as well. Get on with your life. Okay. These diet books and these programs, they ignore the fact that you live in a society and a culture that's shaping and pushing you every day to behave in certain ways. Okay. And this goes again back to the fact that billions and billions of marketing budget is being poured into manipulating us every single day in our choices, whether it's online or offline. Every time you walk into a supermarket, you are being manipulated on a next level. Okay, and a diet doesn't change your wider environment, and it's the wider environment that causes the actual crisis. So what happens, your diet ends and you're still in an unhealthy environment that pushes you to gain weight, and trying to lose weight or maintain an active lifestyle in that kind of environment, it's like trying to run up an escalator that you're coming down, and you turn around and you're trying to go up it. A few people might heroically sprint to the top, but most of us, bichare, will find ourselves back at the bottom eventually, feeling like, oh, it's all our fault. It's all my fault. I can't do it. Something wrong with me. Okay, and then obviously that undermines your self-confidence, your self-esteem, and it creates that negative feedback loop, and you just keep going down, and then you comfort eating. Trust me, I've been there. I've done it. I've got the t-shirt. I've got a few t-shirts, alhamdulillah. This is why I'm raising this issue with you guys. So we have to take time out to understand the deeper forces at work here and work collectively at societal level, I feel, to approach these challenges differently, alhamdulillah. And that's why I found this book very, very valuable.